Croeso, welcome back to Goldibots, where automation isn't just clever, it's clear, modular and built for teams. Whether you're new to functions or refining your framework, the simple standard 2-template framework should be your starting point. Using the project, we just made that function in. Let's make some folders. Let's make a Goldibot templates folder and let's make a functions folder. We'll copy the function XAML that we just created into both. I'm showing you two ways how to do it on screen. One's using the Windows file path, the other one's using Studio. Both ways work just as well. Then ultimately rename the function in the functions folder to function hello world, because that's the one we're going to be playing with in a second. We're going to start hard coding a log message. Then we're going to change that hard coded log into a variable and assign into that variable. And then we're going to change that variable into an argument. I'll run all three versions of it so you can see the logs that it creates. You'll see it with the test harness on and the test harness off, proving how powerful this function is. We just don't need to worry about error handling anymore now. This is a totally useless function. It's not something anyone would build just to call a log. It's purely for demonstration and show you how quickly and reusable this is. So let's drag a log in. Let's hard code what we want to log. So let's put hello world to set it to info. And then we're just going to run the process in debug mode with a breakpoint on the end so we can check the outputs on the left hand side as the process would run. The output is as you would see it in Orchestrator. There's no pause condition for this simple function. It's just going to log a log. Because my OCD, I've got to change the name of this in the properties at the top. It doesn't affect how the login will work that we've built in the function. That's taken care of by the actual name of the XAML file. This is just for my own sanity. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just giving it a nice name at the top. And there it is, run. You can see I've logged the test answers enabled, and you can see the log hello world there and it's run to completion. Now rather than hard code hello world, let's change that to a variable. You can use Control K and that should bring up the shortcut. You type it in and it will appear as a variable at the bottom of the screen in the data manager panel under variables. So the interaction part of this function is now going to log whatever that variable is holding. So as this is a function, we're going to go up to the precondition. Still an argument in, it's just a variable. We're just going to normalize it. This is where you normalize your variables, because that variable, as soon as this function starts, is just set to an empty string. So we're going to, on this side, so assign hello world into that variable. That's then going to contain that. It's going to go into the interaction part, which is then going to log hello world. So the original run was hard coded. Now we're assigning to a variable and the log is logging the variable. You start getting used to things like this because hard coding should be avoided. Hard coded values can't be changed in debug mode, whereas variables can. When you're in debug mode, you have a local panel and all the variables and the values are held there and you can change in runtime. There we go. We've just changed that, so it's done exactly the same thing as the first way. Right, now let's change that variable to an argument. Arguments are variables that just get passed in and out of objects, and an object is a XAML file. So we can simply right click, convert to an argument, change the name, and when you're changing names and playing with variables and arguments, do it in the panel, because that will then change it all throughout your code. So this is our first function with an argument, which is a string. So we've got a validation to check on this one. So that's what we're doing. String dot is null or nothing, open brackets, and the name of that argument in. Assign hello world into that argument in using an assign. That's the test harness done. So it's ready to run. So let's go. Let's press play and run it. Valid, and we've called this all part of this function that we've created in the first video. Now we can simply unit test it with the test harness enabled and put whatever string we want logged in that test harness, and that will change what this function will do, and we'll see it on the left hand side in the output as it runs. Now the argument has been assigned something in a test harness. It passes your first condition, the precondition, because that string is now not null or nothing. See you next time, Goldipups. We'll make developers out of you yet.